Hey there guys, welcome back to Urban Odyssey. I hope everybody's doing well. Today we've got a short bite-sized overview of PLGA Nanotechnology and why it's being put into everything from dewormer to tobacco products. All this and more after the intro, guys. Alrighty guys, I hope everybody's doing well today. This is a video that I've teased a little bit on Substack if you guys have been watching my posts or my notes or whatever they're called. We're going to be talking today about PLGA Nanosystems, which stands for Polylactic Co-Glycolic Acid Nanosystems, PLGA. And so we always start off with some vocabulary, so we're going to do the same here. Let's see, let's pull it up, bring it up so that you guys can see it. Okay, so let's see. The first term that we've got in terms of vocabulary, and I'll put the link to all of these in album in the description so you guys can download these, and you're free to share these with whomever you wish. That's why I make these. I make these with the hopes that people will share them with people they know or on social media or, you know, wherever. You're free to do that. So the first one we have is Polylactic Co-Glycolic Acid, PLGA. This is a synthetic biodegradable copolymer matrix weaponized as a stealth Trojan horse. It is injected into the flesh to smuggle, trap, and slowly detonate chemical, biological, or genetic payloads inside the host over programmed inescapable timeframes. Biochemical time bombing and acidic necrosis. Once injected, the matrix cannot be extracted as it hydrolyzes. It dumps acidic byproducts that burn local tissues, dropping the pH balance to 6.4 or lower, triggering severe chronic foreign body inflammation and weaponizing the host's own macrophages while mercilessly dispensing its own manipulative payload. The second, phantom delivery matrix. The chemical cloaking of nanocarriers to render them invisible to the human immune system, ensuring parasitic payloads can circulate freely without triggering biological alarms. Immune blindness. The host's natural biological defenses are rendered entirely obsolete. Agents of chemical control or genetic alteration can patrol the bloodstream indefinitely, ignoring the body's attempts to purge them until the orchestrator's payload reaches its exact target. We've got cognitive breach vehicles. These are nanoparticles explicitly engineered to penetrate the protective shield of the brain, allowing direct delivery of manipulative chemicals or genes into the central nervous system. Neurological infiltration, absolute eradication of psychological sanctuary. By hijacking the pathways used by viruses like rabies, the grid can deposit neuromodulators, behavioral suppressants, or iron chelators directly into the brain's circuitry, altering cognition at the source. We've got temporal dosing implants, the injection of synthetic depots into the flesh that trap the subject in a state of prolonged chemical reliance, dictating their biological state for months from a single administration. Time release subjugation. The subject's body becomes a slow release prison, Once injected, the payload cannot be removed or stopped, subjecting the individual to inescapable automated chemical regulation that overrides their natural biological rhythms for half a year or more. Dual strike subversion, the simultaneous delivery of a chemical poison and a genetic silencer within a single microscopic vehicle to annihilate cellular resistance mechanisms. Absolute biological compliance. Cells attempting to adapt and survive chemical assaults are stripped of their defensive genetics. The nanocarrier simultaneously poisons the cell and rewrites its DNA to ensure it cannot develop immunity, enforcing total systemic surrender. Autonomic hijacking, the intentional targeting of a body's primary immune signals to rewrite the immune response, forcing the body to either attack itself or tolerate invasive synthetic materials. Immune enslavement. The host's internal army is commandeered. The orchestrators can remotely instruct the subject's immune system to ignore lethal pathogens or violently attack healthy tissue, effectively turning the host's own biology into an instrument of control. Panoptic Theranostics, nanoscale devices that simultaneously track a subject's internal coordinates and detonate therapeutic payloads on command via external energy triggers. Triggered biological surveillance. The subject is perpetually monitored from the inside out. Their internal state is mapped in real time, and the controlling authority can detonate localized chemical or thermal assaults from outside the body using targeted acoustic or optical frequencies. We've got acidic payload detonation, exploiting the natural decay of the nanoparticle to rapidly drop the pH of the surrounding tissue, inducing inflammation and forcing a catastrophic rapid release of the chemical payload. Micro-environmental sabotage. The breakdown of the delivery vehicle is weaponized. The resulting acid burns the surrounding cellular environment, triggering an inflammatory crisis that destabilizes the host tissue while simultaneously dumping the entirety of the payload into the vulnerable area. So those are the 8 vocab terms for the PLGA, and I did bring in some from polymers because polymers are, mixed in here. These are created using certain polymers. So I will probably find some more information on that, but this is enough to kind of get us started for the purposes of what we're going to look at today. So I've got 4 more having to do with polymers. I'll read those now. Let's see. Conductive hydrogel matrix, a jelly-like network of polymers that mimics human tissue while conducting electricity used for sensors and electrodes. The wet wire, a synthetic electrically conductive slime that merges with the body's natural fluids. It turns the interstitial spaces between cells into a wiring harness, allowing the transmission of power and data through the wet environment of the body without rejecting the hardware. We've got dielectric elastomer generator, a DEG, a soft, stretchable polymer that generates electricity when it is mechanically deformed, such as stretched or compressed. Synthetic flesh, a material that acts as a parasitic artificial muscle. It wraps around the organs or limbs and harvests the energy of their expansion, breathing, muscle flexing, etc. Conversely, it can be actuated to physically compress or restrict the organ it surrounds upon remote command. A P.PSS interface, a highly conductive transparent polymer coating used to connect biological tissue with electronic hardware. The neural paint, a conductive coating applied directly to nerves and tissue. It reduces the resistance between the living body and the control grid, ensuring that monitoring signals, the surveillance and actuation signals control pass seamlessly into the biology without being rejected. And the final one here, a transient biopolymer. These are electronics made from materials that dissolve and disappear into the body after a set period of use. Evidence disposal, surveillance, and control devices designed to self-destruct and metabolize into the host body. This allows for temporary, untraceable monitoring operations where the bug literally becomes a part of the victim's biomass after the data is harvested. Okay, so those are our vocabulary terms. I'll put links to the albums in the description. And then what I would like to first do before anything else is I would like to show everybody, why is this something that we're talking about? So recently, let's see if I can bring this up. Yeah, you've seen a lot of people talking about this miracle drug of how fenbendazole or ivermectin, which they called people crazy a couple years ago if you brought that up, but now these are miracle drugs that have promising research that they may be able to cure cancer. So I'm just showing you some some basic Google searches. This is just fenbendazole and cancer is what I searched, and I'm not going to go through these. I'll put some links to them in the description, but I just wanted to show you that this is all of a sudden in the the stage, center stage. It's like they want people to think this may help with cancer. So if you do ivermectin, cancer, that comes up as well. A potential anti-cancer drug. This was from 2020. I like to pay attention to the dates. 2026 right here on NPR. Ivermectin takes off among cancer patients. Can ivermectin treat brain tumors, etc., etc.? Okay, also we've got tobacco, PLGA nanoparticles, and tobacco is what I searched here. Let's see, I probably can show. Yeah, here we go. This is what I got from Yandex. Nicotine vaccines, a lipid polylactic Co-Glycolic Acid nanoparticle-based next-generation nicotine vaccine has been developed to enhance the immunogenicity of conjugate nicotine vaccines. Cancer treatment. PLGA-based nanoparticles have the potential to be used as drug delivery units for various therapeutic agents, including small hydrophobic and hydrophilic drugs, vaccines, and biological macromolecules. Okay, so that's kind of the stage. So let me bring back up my reader here. Okay. So PLGA, you have a basic definition of it. This is from Grokopedia. If you guys would like to pause, you can read through that. I'm not going to read that whole thing. I'll just read the first paragraph of this here. Let's see. Polylactic Co-Glycolic Acid, PLGA, is a synthetic biodegradable copolymer composed of lactic acid and glycolic acid monomers, widely recognized for its biocompatibility, tunable degradation properties, and extensive use in biomedical applications such as controlled drug delivery and tissue engineering. So drug delivery, this is basically dope dash. Basically, they will just beam the drugs to you through these nanoparticles. I know that sounds crazy. A lot of people I talk with this about, they have a hard time believing that. And I did too when I first heard of it. I was like, wow, I don't think they can do that, but they sure can. We're now at a point where technology is sufficient to just send your drugs directly to you over the invisible airwaves. Let's see. This aliphatic polyester degrades hydrolytically into non-toxic metabolites. That's what they say, lactic acid and glycolic acid, that are naturally metabolized via the Krebs cycle or excreted by the kidneys, making it an ideal material for implantable medical devices. So guys, remember, the second that you go outside and you breathe in some smart dust, or eat it or whatever by accident, the second it's inside of you, it is now a implantable, wearable medical device. The U.S. Food and Drug Administration has approved PLGA for clinical use since the 1980s. It's been around that long, the 1980s, highlighting its safety profile and versatility in formulations ranging from microspheres to scaffolds. Okay, so here are some of these images that I've already showed. Here is a link to the album. So if you go to this page from the description, you will be able to see this link. There's some other notes here. If you expand that, I suggest you take a look at energy harvesting Y-bands, wireless body area network, Internet of Nano Things, and programmable meta surfaces. Meta means dead in Hebrew. There's another link there. You can check the different words and terms here. Here are some screenshots. I will just go through these and let you see what they are. Here are some journal entries that I found, the links to which are down here. Anti-cancer effect of fenbendazole incorporated PLGA nanoparticles in ovarian cancer. That's from April 2023. Ivermectin loaded mesoporous silica and polymeric nanocapsules impact on drug loading in vitro solubility enhancement and release performance. We've got exploring the dissolution, solid state properties, and long-term storage stability of cryoprotectant-free fenbendazole nanoparticles. That's from 2024. The previous one I forgot is from 2024. This one's from 2024. We got beta lactoglobulin modified mesoporous silica nanoparticles, a promising carrier for the targeted delivery of fenbendazole into prostate cancer cells. That is from, I don't have a date here, probably within the last couple of years. And then when it comes to tobacco, this is from September 4, 2020. Electrospun alpha, I think that's alpha, lactoalbumin nanofibers for site-specific and fast onset delivery of nicotine in the oral cavity. So this would be like your, your pouches, your any type of nicotine that's used through the oral route. From what I've seen, it's just the like the pouches and stuff, but I imagine they can do this with anything. Here is a little graph. It's a visual, I guess, a nicotine replacement therapy formulations for oromucosal administration induce a delayed rise in nicotine blood levels as opposed to immediate nicotine increase obtained from cigarette smoking. This being a shortcoming of the therapy. Here we demonstrate that a lactoalbumin polyethylene oxide electrospun nanofibers constitute an efficient oromucosal delivery system for fast onset nicotine delivery of high relevance. So here's what it looks like. Protein-based nanofibers, and it kind of gives you a time release, but we're going to learn a little bit more about that in a moment. The volatile release evaluation of nicotine from snus products under different storage conditions based on surface enhanced Raman spectroscopy technology. Some of these words are pretty big, guys. It's really helping me, reading skills improving, just trying to sound out some of these words. And I will post a link to all of these images here. Somebody actually was able to put this under a microscope. This is just one of them I included here. So here are a bunch of journal entries. If you guys would like to check them out, I encourage you to do so. But what I'm going to do now is I'm going to talk a little bit about what this stuff does and why it's actually not something I would want in my body. So I don't think really anybody would want this if they were aware of what this was. So, if there was a disclaimer that this was being done, I think people would be very upset. They would be outraged. But what I've come to realize is that, there's so many words and technologies that the average individual has never heard. That's why I open these episodes with vocabulary, because if you don't have the vocabulary, you You don't even know this stuff is something that exists, and it appears to be alien technology. But once you understand that, you know, technology is at that level, it's not alien. It's just a highly advanced technology. Okay, so I've highlighted some portions. Those highlights are just to kind of have your eyes go there so you see them. But I'm going to read through some of this. The following entry defines the foundational material making biological subjugation possible. Stripped of its biocompatible and FDA-approved marketing camouflage, PLGA is exposed as a highly tunable synthetic time-release cage designed to permanently embed chemical and genetic mandates within the human host. Mechanics. To understand PLGA is to understand the primary physical architecture of modern biological husbandry. It is not merely a drug carrier, it is a programmable structural enforcement vessel deployed directly into human tissue. Synthetic Trojan Horse, PLGA, is a polyester copolymer synthesized from lactic acid and glycolic acid through ring opening polymerization or direct polycondensation. It is universally championed by the medical industrial complex due to its deceptive biocompatibility. It degrades through hydrolysis into lactic and glycolic acids, which the body metabolizes via the Krebs cycle into carbon dioxide and water. Because it mimics natural metabolic byproducts, the systemic alarms of the host are bypassed, allowing the U.S. Food and Drug Administration and the European Medicines Agency to sanction its use for injecting everything from psychiatric inhibitors to genetic modifiers. Algorithmic degradation, biological timer. PLGA's most insidious feature is its tunability. The architects of these delivery systems do not rely on chance. They engineer the exact temporal breakdown of the matrix to trap the host in a sustained release cycle, spanning days, months, or years. The lactic and glycolic control dial. Lactic acid is highly hydrophobic, water repelling, while glycolic acid is hydrophilic, which means water absorbing. So by manipulating the stoichiometric ratio of these two monomers, engineers dictate how fast water penetrates the nanoparticles. So what this does is once it gets inside of you, it will break down into, one thing that repels water and one thing that absorbs water. And what they do is they manipulate the ratio of those two things, and by manipulating how much of one and how much of the other, so how much water is being repelled, how much water is being absorbed, by manipulating that ratio, they're able to kind of control how fast, it says how fast water penetrates the nanoparticle. The higher lactic acid ratio creates a stubborn, hydrophobic cage that releases its payload agonizingly slow, locking the subject into a prolonged state of chemical suppression. Structural timers. By altering the molecular weight, blockiness, and end cap chemistry using acid-terminated versus ester-terminated caps, the polymer's degradation is programmed like a biological time bomb, ensuring the exact pharmacokinetic reality desired by the orchestrator. Acidic necrosis protocol and varnish toxicity. The narrative that PLGA is entirely benign is a fabricated illusion. The degradation of PLGA is an autocatalytic violent process at the microscopic level. Microenvironmental sabotage. As water penetrates the matrix and cleaves the ester bonds, the nanoparticle rapidly sheds lactic and glycolic acids directly into the surrounding human tissue. Inflammatory weaponization. This localized acid dumping forces the pH of the surrounding tissue to plummet to 6.4 or lower. This severe acidification burns the tissue, inducing a violent foreign body response and forcing the host macrophages into a hyper-aggressive pro-inflammatory M1 state. The body is subsequently flooded with tissue-damaging cytokines like TNF, I think that's alpha, IL-1 beta, causing chronic inflammation, thrombosis risks, and localized cellular necrosis while the payload continues to systematically deploy. Eradication of the patient's autonomy. PLGA forms the backbone of long-acting injectable LAI formulations and in situ forming implants. Once a PLGA matrix is injected subcutaneously or intramuscularly, so I think that means through the skin or into the muscle. That is what I believe. I'm not sure if that's right. It forms a physical depot in the flesh. The human host completely loses the ability to halt the treatment. So that's a big issue here. The reason that anybody should be, outraged and furious about this is because this is kind of a step into a higher, system where the level of control that is being exerted through all of this, the smart dust, which was completed in 2001 at Berkeley, the only place that Ted Kaczynski targeted twice. It was the same place where smart dust came out of. So, this stuff is not just a improvement of what there already is. This is giving almost godlike control to, really we don't even know who has the ability to control this. I'm sure that they will tell you a base level, but, the government will always have a back door into everything. If you want to run your business out of the United States, where you're going to give us a back door into your system, or we're just going to make your life hell. We're going to slap you with fines. We're going to send people in to audit you nonstop. We're just going to make your life hell until you do what we want and give us a back door into the system. That's why these things were designed. They would not have spent the time and money to design these systems if there wasn't a way to use them against the people. I'll say it again. The human host completely loses the ability to halt the treatment. Unlike an oral pill that can be refused, the PLGA implant autonomously dictates the host's biological and neurological state, administering antipsychotics, hormone suppressants, or genetic modulators, continuously overriding the host's sovereignty for up to 6 months, probably more, from a single injection or encounter. PLGA as the Trojan Horse of biological subjugation. Polylactic Co-Glycolic Acid, PLGA, is aggressively marketed by the medical industrial complex as a benign, FDA-approved, biocompatible, and biodegradable polymer. Stripped of the clinical camouflage, it's basically a Trojan horse. It's a programmable structural enforcement vessel deployed directly into the flesh to smuggle, trap, and slowly detonate chemical, biological, or genetic payloads without the host's ongoing consent. This was pretty much a lot of the information from above, so I will skip down here. We learned about phantom delivery matrix, immune blindness, to ensure the payload reaches its destination without being destroyed by the host's natural defenses. PLGA nanoparticles are chemically cloaked, often through PEG lylation. I don't know how to say that. The attachment of polyethylene glycol chains to create a phantom delivery matrix. Let's see if I can put the definition back up there, just so everybody can see it again. One moment. Yep, here we go. Phantom delivery matrix. Chemical cloaking of nanocarriers to render them invisible to the human immune system. This hydrated stealth shield reduces opsonization by plasma proteins and prevents the body's mononuclear phagocyte system from clearing the foreign particles. Consequently, the host's natural biological alarms are rendered obsolete, allowing agents of chemical control or genetic alteration to patrol the bloodstream indefinitely until they are detonated at their exact target. Neurological infiltration, cognitive breach vehicles. I will put that one up. Cognitive breach vehicles. These are nanoparticles explicitly engineered to penetrate the protective shield of the brain, allowing direct delivery of manipulative chemicals or genes into the central nervous system. PLGA nanoparticles can be engineered as cognitive breach vehicles explicitly designed to penetrate the blood-brain barrier, eradicating the concept of psychological sanctuary. By functionalizing the PLGA surface with specific targeting ligands, the system can bypass the blood-brain barrier via receptor-mediated endocytosis. This allows the control grid to deposit neuromodulators, behavioral suppressants, or other manipulative payloads directly into the central nervous system, altering the subject's cognition and psychological state at the source. Genetic sabotage, dual strike subversion. PLGA is utilized to enforce total biological surrender through dual strike subversion, the simultaneous delivery of a chemical poison and a genetic silencer, such as siRNA, mRNA, or plasmid DNA, with a single microscopic vehicle. When cells attempt to adapt or to resist a chemical assault, the PLGA nanocarrier rewrites their DNA to strip them of their defensive genetics. This ensures the host cannot develop immunity or resistance, permanently embedding genetic mandates into the subject's body. Triggered surveillance, Panoptic Theranostics. Patient autonomy is further destroyed by the integration of Panoptic Theranostics. PLGA nanocarriers are engineered to simultaneously track a subject's internal coordinates in real time while carrying therapeutic payloads. The controlling authority perpetually monitors the internal state of the host from the inside out and can trigger the sudden release of the chemical or thermal payload on command using external energy stimuli such as near-infrared light or focused ultrasound directed energy. Acidic payload detonation and immune enslavement. The breakdown of the PLGA cage is not a passive event. It is an act of micro-environmental sabotage. As the PLGA degrades through autocatalytic hydrolysis, it sheds lactic and glycolic acids directly into the tissue, causing the local pH balance to plummet. This acidic payload detonation burns the surrounding cellular environment, inducing severe chronic inflammation and provoking a violent foreign body response. Furthermore, through autonomic hijacking, PLGA nanoparticles can be actively targeted to reprogram the host's antigen-presenting cells, macrophages, and dendritic cells, remotely instructing the immune system to either violently attack healthy tissue or docilely tolerate the invasion of synthetic materials. So, while I'm reading this and learning about this with the audience, with you guys, really what comes to mind is that these are just parasites that are made out of computers. It's like a parasite, but instead of a biological one, like the same one that gets into deer and turns them into zombie deer, and it does this through manipulating the same things that this is manipulating. That's just kind of my first thoughts. That may be right, that may be wrong, but it's just what comes to mind. And let's see. Let me see here. We've read a lot of this already. Let's see if there's anything I'm missing. Yeah, here we go. The host's immune sentinels are immediately triggered by the presence of uncoated PLGA nanoparticles. The system treats the host's own immune cells as transport vehicles or for targets for reprogramming. See, we have, boy, I don't know if I can say that word, reticuloendothelial sequestration. Guys, these are hard words sometimes, and that's why this is able to be hidden so well. This could be hidden indefinitely until the population finds out about these new technologies, meaning they find out what these words mean. You know, nobody will ever know about this, and they will just think it's anything but what it really is. It is, you know, ghosts. It is this, that, or the other. It is, you got sick, you have a new virus, but you will never discover that it's actually nanotechnology because the stuff is so advanced. I have compiled to date 295 entries to the directory of human husbandry, which is basically anytime I discover something that I need to look into or make a video on, I will find the words, the new vocabulary, and I will add them to the directory, and then I read them to the audience. But, you know, in doing that, I've found 200, almost 300 new entries that, you know, people have no idea what these words mean, but they're actually talking about alien technology for all intents and purposes. Because when you present this to somebody who's never heard of it, it is alien technology. But hopefully, if we learn about what this is possible, or what is possible with these technologies, it won't have that mystery surrounding it anymore. Let's see. Antigen presenting cells, infiltration. Professional APCs such as dendritic cells, DCs, and macrophages actively internalize PLGA particles through macropinocytosis, phagocytosis, and cathepsin-dependent endocytosis. Intrinsic adjuvant activity. PLGA microparticles or nanoparticles possess an inherent immunostimulatory property. They act as an intrinsic adjuvant by forcibly triggering the NLRP3 inflammasome within dendritic cells the moment the particles are ingested. This initiates an immune cascade without the need for external biological stimulants. So, you know, what's going on here is that they are able to do a lot with this, because if you're able to, you know, make a person think that they have come down with a new strain of the flu, let's just say, you think that you have the flu because they've created or provoked a reaction that will make the individual feel that way. So that person will then, you know, look for how to cure what they perceive to be, flu. But it's never been that. It's been something else entirely. So that's just a hypothetical, but, let your imagination run wild with that. They can create grand illusions. They can create plays, theater productions, live action, role play, kayfabe, WWE wrestling, one guy on the left, one guy on the right, the red team and the blue team. Either way, guys, I think you guys have got enough information from me to get you started. And just be aware, guys, anytime you hear them talking about, how fenbendazole or ivermectin cures cancer, that this is why. I'm not sure if it actually does. Let's just be perfectly clear on that. Maybe it does, but it's like at this expense. You can cure your cancer, but you'll just have these inside you for the rest of your life. It really depends on if people want to make that trade-off. But call me a cynic, I think they're just trying to get these into everybody no matter what, and they will trick people. They will offer them false hope. They will say, hey, you can cure your cancer. All you need to do is put this in you. So just be aware of that, guys. be aware that you need to look into it. It's not that hard to find. You just have to, you know, do a Google search or use the index or something. Take a look at these journal articles, and I will find a few extra things before I post this video, and I will include those in the Substack post. So anybody who is following me on YouTube or Rumble or Odyssey, my main platform is Substack. So if you're not following me there, you can follow me for free, and you can get you know, any of my posts. They'll come to you through email. You can also view them on Substack, of course. But those are the posts that I put all of the links and information into. That way, you know, I can put as much information I want into that post, and then leave a link to that post and all the video descriptions and whatnot. Hopefully people go to the post and check out all of the links and additional information that I include there. But if you didn't know that, please consider following me on Substack. That's my main platform. Guys, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you learned something, I have accomplished my goal. Really, all I do is set out to help people learn, and really I do this so that I can learn. You know, the best way to learn anything is to teach it to other people. So hopefully you guys gain some new information. Questions, comments, concerns, please leave those in the description, or sorry, the comments, and like the video on whatever platform you're on. Follow the channel on whatever platform you're on. It really helps out. But again, I don't do this for views. I'm not interested in, you know, money or anything like that, as much as it would be nice, don't get me wrong. But I do this because we've got some serious issues that people have no clue about. They don't even know these things exist. They're still going on about their normal routines like nothing is wrong. And I think if you have finished the video and you're hearing me right now, meaning, let's see, you're about 42 minutes in, is what it says on my time. If you've watched all 42 minutes, I think you would agree with me that if this is, you know, something they're playing with, we've got major problems that people need to know about. So share this video, like it on whatever platform you're on, because if you do, it will help more people see the video. So share it with anybody you know. If they don't know about this and you would like them to know about this, share the video. I appreciate it, guys. Thank you. I'll see you in the next one. Take care.